Welcome to Heels, Handbags, and Hustle. Step in faith, carry love, pursue God's calling. This is your host, Rachel Earp, and I'm so delighted that you found my show. My podcast is dedicated to encouraging women to be more bold, confident, and secure in their work and femininity. I've had the privilege of bringing on many outstanding women who share their journeys, stories, and successes with us. I believe women should embrace their God-given gifts and abilities without the entanglements of fear, comparison, or past mistakes. As a wife, business owner, and mom of 2 boys, one with Down syndrome, I have found such joy in the community of supportive women. My prayer is that this podcast elevates each person who listens and inspires a closer walk with God. Now, let's get to it, friends. Welcome, friends, to another episode of Heels, Handbags, and Hustle. I'm always so excited to be on the show and to be able to bring on other guests who are able to share their stories, and we get to learn the deeper meaning of the things that are important in their life and what they want to share with others. And today I have Michelle on the show, who is so inspiring. And when I saw her, I was like, I have to reach out. I just want to share her with all of you guys today. So Michelle, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel like we already know each other, even though it's for the last 10 minutes, right?
I know. I love it. I love it so much. I love just becoming fast friends. You are so delightful. And I would love, so for people who don't know you, who is Michelle and how do you pronounce your last name? Because I probably will butcher it.
Michelle Kuei.
Okay.
Yeah, Kuei. I am currently working as a visibility marketing coach, and I work with female coaches to help them to discover their passion and turn that into a coaching business that they love. So I help them to get out, get seen, get heard, and also get paying clients. Wow. So that's what I'm really passionate about helping other coaches doing. But in the past, I've been pharmacist. I've been 20 years of clinical pharmacist before I shifted into coaching.
No way. Yeah. That is, I never would have pictured that.
Yeah. So here's a picture. Here's a picture I want to put in your mind. I'm 4 feet 4 inches tall. So when you go to CVS or Walgreens, you see this huge counter, right? So imagine me behind the counter.
Oh, I love it. That's adorable. You probably got tired of that though, right? It's like, I'm over this counter. Like, let's get rid of that and just do something different. So coaching. Wow.
Yeah. And
you
I
coach
tell
coaches.
I do.
I mean, I love that.
I call myself this, like, you ever seen a Chihuahua? You're walking a Chihuahua out, right? This Chihuahua is small and tiny, but somehow Chihuahua barks the most.
Yes.
I bark.
Oh my gosh, that is so cute. And you know what? I have a friend I got to send this to that just loves little Chihuahuas. And you know what? They pack a punch. Yeah. Everybody notices them. They're utterly adorable. But like you said, like they catch your attention. So I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
They have personality. Yeah. They have this huge thing about, hey, pay attention to me. If you don't, I'm totally going to bite you. And that's me behind the counter, right? Even though I'm small and tiny. And this is what brings a lot of surprises for a lot of people. They don't expect that someone who's so tiny, who's small, gorgeous, and adorable, who have that big, loud voice.
Well, you know what? They say big things come in small packages.
So true. 100%. Totally agree.
I love it. Yeah. So you transitioned from being a pharmacist into coaching. Before you were a pharmacist, describe like, what did life look like for you? Did you like always want to grow up and get into that industry? Like, talk a little bit about that.
Not at all. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a teacher. I always had this passion to teach. I remember my dad got me one of those blackboard, and I was always gathering the neighborhood child, and I would be in front of them. I would be teaching them. And that has always been my passion. But that kind of shifted when I when I was at age 11, which we're going to do, going to a little bit of the story here. When I was 11, my whole entire life kind of shifted and changed. All that passion I had about teaching, it was no longer there and no longer exists. And the reason was I had a big car accident. I was hit by a taxi that ran a red light as I was crossing the street.
Oh my gosh.
The car accident took place where I originally came from. I came from Taiwan. I grew up in Taiwan. I was born in Taiwan. I didn't come to America until I was 15.
Wow.
So the accident happened 4 years before I came to America. And during that 4 years of period, so I was in and out of the hospital, going through multiple surgery. So by the time I was released through the hospital, my doctor had given me a pair of metal brace to wear. So I had a brace to wear on my leg, and I was walking with 2 crutches. That was not a very pretty picture to be growing into my teenage year.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I cannot imagine. Like legit, like I cannot imagine going through something like that. And even at that age, everything is magnified anyways. So how did you process? Like, I'm sure that had to have been very emotional. Like your life was forever altered.
Initially, I was a very naive child for a lot of children around that age, at least back in the days. I was thinking, oh my gosh, no school. How great. And I was able to.
Isn't it funny what kids do? Their first thought is, this is awesome.
This is awesome. No school.
Yeah, I can just watch TV all day.
And then slowly it made me realize that, it's not just no school anymore. I don't get to participate in a lot of things. I don't go to the gym anymore. I don't participate in the sports activity. I don't get to see my friends anymore. And then it just happened so quickly. I didn't even have enough time to process. I was placed into a brand new environment where I had to adjust to a complete new culture, learning a complete new language.
Wow.
And so it was emotionally, physically, mentally, I was forced to keep moving forward and don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have time to process what does this all mean and what would my life look like from this point on.
Very true. Very true. You know, you think about or you hear people's stories and your instant thought is, oh, well, how did you deal with that? Well, you dealt with it because you had to. Yeah. Like it's, survival mode kicks in and the reality kicks in and, you do what you have to do, even though it is a tragedy. But I mean, I can't imagine, I'm picturing myself like going through something like that, moving into not just another area, but a whole other country and then learning a new language. Like, I mean, that's crazy. That's a lot. Like you truly have like all us credentials aside, like you have a lot to tell people and to teach people because of what you've come through alone. Yeah. Like that's incredible.
I think one of the biggest challenge I had during that period of time as I was discovering who I was, that peer pressure came into play. Because when I saw all my classmates, how they were able to dress and some of the stuff that I was hoping to do as a teenage child, I couldn't do anymore. Dressing up very pretty and getting my hair done, getting my makeup done. And I remember at my sister's wedding, when I deliver the speech for our family. I was representing my family. And the first thing I said to her was, I felt ashamed for not knowing and not teaching her how to dress up herself, how to impress boy, how to put the makeup on. Because I never got a chance to do that.
Yeah. Wow. I think it's so sweet, though, that you wanted to be able to do that for your sister. Like it was beyond just yourself. Like you were thinking of her. And those are like little things that so many of us take for granted. Like we don't give a second thought to what that would look like if that was taken away.
Yeah.
you know.
And the metal bracelet I was wearing, they had this shoes attached to it. So for a very long period of time, I didn't have to buy shoes because it came with it, which is plus and minus, right? Because it came with it.
Yeah,
but they were ugly. They were hideous. They were hideous.
Oh no! And then you get tired of that after a while. It's like, okay, I don't have to figure out what I'm going to wear, but ew, I don't want to wear this anymore.
It was open toes. It looks like a grandma's clog, like going everywhere. And
oh my gosh,
we were talking about was the heels, right? Because I remember back in the days when I was dragging my mom's heels around in the house, and I'm like, oh, it would be so pretty. And I have like sheets, like bed sheets wrapping around me, and dress it up like a t-shirt, like a dress, right? And like posing, walking down the room from left to right. Yeah. That made me feel pretty, but after the car accident, I couldn't do that anymore. So that was a big moment and big aha moment for me that there's a lot of things that used to be able to do that I no longer was able to do it myself.
Right.
And luckily, my mom, she's a strong woman. And this goes to all the strong ladies out there. Your daughter sees you, your peer sees you, everybody else sees you. Kudos to you for being strong.
Yeah, I love that. That is so, you don't realize as a mom sometimes because there's something in you when your child is going through something, and there's a certain instinct that kicks in, and it truly, like coming from a child's perspective, like what would you do without that? It truly means so much because they just step in and they do what needs to be done, and they just go into that fight mode for, and it's incredible. It's just, they're heroes in a lot of ways, Yeah.
So that's pretty much how I grew up. My entire, I would say even into adulthood, when I was in 30s and 40, going into relationship and everything that I've done, there's always part of me feeling I wasn't good enough. I wasn't tall enough. Right. I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't, there's a lot of not enough, which made me felt I was kind of like this outsider to the whole entire world. I didn't belong anywhere. I don't really hang out with a lot of people. I'm kind of like introverted. So I find that going out and being in a group setting, it makes me feel very uncomfortable. It makes me feel that people are judging me and they're looking at me for a reason. For being short, for walking with crutches, for not being able to just look different. And sometimes being different, right now, I can tell you that being different is phenomenal. It's great. But back then, being different was something that I wish I didn't have.
Yeah. It's hard. Society is, the world is cruel in general. But, and I think there's definitely been some strides made in how we include more people that, do have different challenges. And my youngest son, and I talk about this a lot, he has Down syndrome and he's different, and it completely opened up my eyes to where I started to see all of a sudden it was so weird. My husband and I would talk about this a lot, was we never really noticed, even when we go out into the store or, restaurant, or we didn't notice, and I'm going to kind of zoom into Down syndrome in particular. We didn't really notice, we didn't really pay attention that much when we were out and about. And then we had our son. All of a sudden, everywhere we went, we started seeing there's someone with Down syndrome. It was like we became so aware. And it wasn't until we literally had now this child that, we wanted to do everything we could to help him not feel isolated, not, to be included in classrooms and to have the same opportunities that other people have. It just, it was going to be harder for him. It was going to take him a little bit longer to catch up. And, I truly feel that those individuals are very underserved and very they're not seen. And that really pulls on my heartstrings because, no one should feel that way. Like you're describing, that feeling is so, it's so hard, because it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot to go through all of that. And, pivoting back to your story, that takes a lot to work through. And then looking at you now, like I would have never guessed any of those events had happened in your life if I just had met you and bumped into you, over at a coffee shop or something. And I just see your smile and your, the passion that you have and kindness that you have in your heart that's a tremendous inspiration. So, and that's one of the reasons I was so excited that you could come on today and, share your wisdom, because there are a lot of people out there who are feeling this right now.
Mm-hmm. And earlier I said I have a strong mom. You are strong, Rachel. You are strong. And it takes a lot of emotional support and also like mental support, physical support as well to go through that journey. And I can see how my mom pulled herself through. And I can probably, if I were to speak for your son, I totally thank you for seeing the gift of your son.
Thank you. I've never had anyone actually say that, like from picturing him saying that to me, because he's not fully verbal, but that means a lot. Thank you.
He
you're
knows.
Gonna make me cry.
He knows. And I knew that for my mom too, because I never told her how much I appreciated her, but I can see that. I express it. I know she knows. And sometimes, taking care of a more gifted child, it's not easy. And one of the things I really give my mom and also you a lot of credit is that earlier that you talked about, sometimes the society see the difference as, oh, I need to treat this person differently.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the case. A lot of time people ask me, hey, would you need help? And sometimes yes, but sometimes no, I don't want to be any different. I don't want to be treated different.
Yeah.
So I think it's a fine balance between when do I need to ask for help versus when can I take care of things on my own?
Right.
And so when my mom was bringing me up, she made it really clear that if these are the things that you're able to do, then I want you to do it yourself.
Yep.
She doesn't step in to help me or wanted to accommodate me. She doesn't make me the special case. She made sure that I am just like her two other kids in the house. Whatever they get, I get. However they get punished, I get punished.
Yeah.
So she didn't treat me any differently. And that was the mindset that I was brought up from home. Mm-hmm. But when I was placed outside of home, that's where the challenges start to come in.
Yes.
Because some people would look at differences as I'm going to treat you differently because you're different. Whereas others, they see the differences, but they allow you to be different and they support and they encourage that differences.
Yeah. Oh, that is so good. So good. It reminds me, it just brought back a very vivid memory when my son was just born, just a few weeks old. And I remember his first doctor appointment with his primary care doctor. And literally the entire visit, all she told me was all the things that he would not be able to do. Well, he'll never get married. He'll never go to college. He'll probably live with you the rest of his life. Like, he'll have all these health, she went through like this book. And I remember sitting there overwhelmed and feeling like just an enormous doom over his life and ours. And finally, I looked at her and I said, well, I don't want to know what he can't do. Like, tell me what he can do, because it was new to me. I didn't know anything about Down syndrome. And, finally there was something in me that kicked in and I was like, well, I found out and I've learned along the way, there's a lot of things he can do. It just looks different for him. And like you said, you have to give people space and give them grace to do things the way that they're going to do it. And it's going to look different, all of it will look different, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that they're not capable though.
Yes, absolutely. And coming from the perspective of the person who is different, I am very different, and I admit that I'm different, and I actually stand proud of being different now. But coming from the perspective of being the one who got treated differently and who is different, I would say that in the past, it was always me feeling, I'm feeling judged. I'm feeling I treated unfairly, or I'm different. But in reality, it's really how we perceive it, right? Mm-hmm. Just like tossing a coin, there's always two sides. I get to choose which side I want to believe in. So I can sit there and I can believe all the list of things that I cannot do, or I can flip the whole entire narrative around and I say, you know what? That's great. That's good to know that these are the things that's not meant for me to do, which I don't want to do it anyway. Here's the things that I can do, and I will do it proudly any day. Right?
I love it. Yes.
It's a choice between the two, but we have to. This is something that I think all the school need to teach all our children. How to make that choice when you are given the choice, and how to make that, have to have the skills of making that conscious choice.
Right. So true.
I may not have certain things, but that's okay. I'm going to choose what I can see and where the opportunity is. And everything has an opportunity behind it.
Yeah. And I think if like you said, kind of talking about that, those very defining moments, for our youth is, there's so much pressure that society puts where either conformity and doing what everyone else is doing, or what your family thinks you should do, or what looks cool and it's the trend. And this is like the thing I should be doing. I remember feeling a lot of those questions, and there's nothing worse than trying to conform yourself into something that it's not you, and something happens to you. And I see this happen a lot of times in people when they choose a career, or when they choose a profession, or, even it ties into their whole identity, where they become someone that they don't recognize anymore because they're not looking at what they're capable, like their strengths are. They're trying to sit there and force themselves to fix all the things that's not really meant for them. Like maybe they're just not, that's not their gift. And it doesn't mean that they're not a great and wonderful and capable person. It just means that we all are gifted differently. And that is what we should be moving our whole life and our whole purpose into, is what we are good at. Take that and run with it,
Exactly.
And discovering it.
The school had trained us and taught us how to be a competitor, not being the performer. The competitor will always chase something, right? Chasing the fame, chasing the grades. My grade is not good enough, so I'm going to chase the grade because my parents want me to chase the grade. And then after school, we're chasing the money. Am I getting paid enough? Am I getting paid higher enough? And so we're always chasing for that competition. So you always feels like I'm running in a competition and there's no way to stop. Versus a performance is always thinking about, I'm entering this game to perform, to be better. And if I can be better today than yesterday, then I win, right? Yeah. So there's a shift of mindset from the competition to just being the performer. And with the performance, you always have room to improve. Versus competition, you always feel like you're a failure.
Oh my goodness. I just want to sit in that for a moment. That is so profound, because, and I remember years ago, my husband and I first got married. I remember I was working at a hospital system, and he was just launching his first business, and we were burning the candle at both ends, exhausted. And I remember every morning, as soon as my alarm would go off, I would look over at him, and I was just like, okay, let the rat race begin. Like I would get up and always in a frenzy. Like from the moment I woke up, I literally probably looked like a little rat, like trying to, trying to get like, go put on my makeup, run out the door, get in traffic, get to work 8 to 5, come home, make dinner. Like it was truly an unfulfilling thing because I just was going through the motions and I wasn't truly, doing what I was called to do or meant to do. It was just like an occupation. Like, okay, this is what you do. This is, you just pick a job, you go somewhere, find a place that you can tolerate people and work with every day and make, a certain amount of money. And then you go home and just zone out. Yeah. Yes. And, a lot of people are going through that, but when I love that you brought out, when you're looking at it from a performance instead of a competition, because the competition is exhausting. The competition doesn't give anything back to you. It's just a constant draining of your soul, of your energy, of your fire, of your joy. Yeah. But if you're performing, you are equipping yourself to go out there and give your best. And, that is beautiful. That's a life-changing concept right there.
Yeah.
So
and
good.
Being a performer, you always have room to grow and it's always a new skill to learn. So you're more open to the opportunity that's out there.
Yep. That's true too.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, I kind of want to, I'm still so I'm so I feel like your story's like this movie. I'm so caught up in your character, Michelle. No. But okay, so you were the pharmacist, at the counter. Okay, so what was the pivotal moment in your mind where you're like, okay, I'm going to be a coach now? Like, talk to us about that process and what that looked like.
So, you talked about the rat race earlier, right? And that's how I felt when I was in the healthcare setting. It was always go and do. You wake up the next morning and things just keep repeating itself. And at one point when I got into, there was a position that was opening and it was a management position. So I decided to apply. And it was during that period of time, I was also going through a lot of personal, emotional changes where I started to find out more about what I like. And I was able to speak up more about my opinion, about my point of view. And when I started to apply, I remember my best friend also applied. And it was like competition going on right there, right? And I took it as she got hired. I didn't get hired because she was better than I am. And therefore that made me felt not good enough. Yeah. So that pushed me to the bottom. And then I was going through relationship drama where I was never able to find the person. Everybody else has a significant other, but not me. And so I was in that victim mode of everything happened to me because of me. And there's no way out. So one morning I woke up and I remember I was just feeling so frustrated and feeling just not very inspiring, not motivated. And so I woke up, I'm like, okay, this has to change. And that pivotal moment happened in a parking lot outside of Target.
All good things happen at Target, right?
Right? Of course it has to be Target.
Of course it was Target. That's funny.
And so I was in my car and I was looking down because it happens so many times as I'm driving. I usually wear a white shirt and I had jeans on and I had my belt on. So every time I got out of my car, there was a stain on my white t-shirt. So for the life of me, I was trying to figure out where did that come from and how did I get it there? So I decided to sit back into my car in the Target parking lot. And then I looked down. Oh, I was neglecting to take care of myself for so much that my muffin top was pushing against the steering wheel.
Oh.
That was my aha moment.
Oh, yeah.
Realizing that I didn't like exercise. Right. I didn't like taking care of myself. I didn't like a lot of things. And that
was hard.
It was
hard. Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, so I walk with crutches. I don't go to the gym. I like to eat how can I balance all this out? So in that moment, I realized that I got to do something for myself. So I went into Target, bought myself a Pilates ball. I said, I can run, but the least I can do is maybe use a Pilates ball. So, and then I went to YouTube. I started search. I was looking for, what are some of the mobility activity that people with limiting physical activity can do? And so I start to use Pilates ball, and that got the ball rolling, and that literally rolling. That literally started to roll. And the next thing I knew, I decided to go into a gym, hire myself a personal trainer, and there I was, started to working out.
Wow.
And the moment that you got into this physical activity, your adrenaline start to kicking in, your hormone, it start to working, your happy dopamine start to kick in, right? Yeah. And I got happier and happier, and this is something I can do. That choice of what that we made, what we couldn't do versus what we can do, it was a big discovery moment for me. Oh, I can walk on the treadmill. I can do an exercise. Heck yeah, why not having a 6-pack then? So that was my goal. That was my goal. To wanting to have a 6-pack. So I said, love it. And every single day, I would go to the gym. I would make out 2 hours out of my busy schedule. I would go to the gym. So I did that for the whole entire year. Wow. And I started to see the result. I started to see my muscle gaining. I started getting ripped.
Wow.
And next thing you know, I heard somebody from my colleagues, they all came back from this amazing trip. And I said, okay, I wonder if that's something that I can do. So I came home, I did Google search again. I look up Machu Picchu, where it is. What do I need to know? And what do I need to bring? And next thing I know, I found myself, flew myself along to Cusco, Peru. And I decided to hike through 26 miles of Inca Trail to Machu Picchu.
Wait, what? Okay, what? You did what? Like, what is that? I've never even heard of it, which is so sad. It's a peak?
It's one of the 7 wonder of the world. So there's 7 wonder of the world: Egypt, the Pyramid of Egypt, the Great Wall of China, the Angkor Wat, which is the ancient site in Cambodia, and then there's also Machu Picchu, which is located in Peru. So it's one of the very ancient, spiritual, also ritual, very sacred site in Peru. And in order to get up there, there's a couple of different routes that you have to hike through. But the most difficult and challenging one is the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu. And it consists of 26 miles of just ascending hill that you have to climb up. And the tallest peak is at 14,000 feet above sea level.
Wow.
So as you're going up, you'll start to notice that the air gets thinner and thinner, which means that you start to experience some high altitude syndrome, and which is why it makes the hike especially more challenging. There's other hike that's out there in the world, like Kilimanjaro is also really famous because it's really cold. And in order to hike to the summit, it takes a long day, multiple days in order to get to the top of the mountain. So Machu Picchu is one of those. So the highest peak is at 14,000 feet above sea level. So that's on day 2. And typically people would hike anywhere from 8 to 10 hours per day. And it is spanned across 4 days altogether. Now, there's an easier way that you can go.
I wouldn't last 10 minutes. That's incredible. I'm like, wow. I can't even take all this in. That is incredible that you did that. I didn't even realize you hear people that say, oh, I hiked this, but I didn't know it was such a process. I guess I've obviously I've never done it. But I never would have imagined.
There's an
Wow.
easier way to get up there. So the easier way would be you take a train ride, which is what I did after I came down. So there's a train ride that takes about 8 hours from the city of Cusco into the Machu Picchu site. But I did the difficult route. And so when I was there, when I remember I got stomach flu, and I checked myself into an infirmary, into a clinic in Peru.
Oh my gosh.
I called my sister that night, and she goes, "Why everybody have vacation? Like, why can't you just go to Paris? Why of all the place? Why would it have to be Peru? Why can't you just go to Paris? I'll take you to shop."
Yes, I would be that sister. I'd be like, "Girl, you're crazy." But that's amazing. But that's what you needed to do. Like you just.
I needed to prove to myself that I was capable of doing things that others can do. To get back to your question, though, how I got into coaching. So after that trip, I came home. I was feeling so inspired that I finally found my purpose. And the whole entire time in my life, I realized that I was looking for that purpose. I was looking for a reason why I existed. And I kept asking the universe, I kept looking and searching for answer in terms of, if this is me and I am trapped in this body, there has to be a reason why I came to this earth in this lifetime. So what am I here to do? And why am I going through all this? To do what? And that was my most challenging question that I wouldn't have found the answer had I not gone to that trip to hike the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu. So when I came home, I realized I was not alone. I was there. Every passenger who had walked by me, they were turning around and gave me 2 thumbs up. But in a way, they were my supporter. They saw me. Yeah. And I see them because we're partners on that trip together.
Right.
Every passenger who walked by me gave me a thumbs up. Keep going. Keep doing it. Right. And so how I was able to get to the summit, I didn't do it just by myself. I had the support and the inspiration that came from others who kept me going, who made me believe that I could do things.
Wow. That's amazing.
And that inspired me to came home and start to look for life coaching. Yeah.
I mean, that is truly a like life-changing moment, like, or series of moments, like days in your life. But where most people would, look at it and maybe have given up from the get-go, like you said, when there's something about going and doing something like that where all of a sudden all the labels are stripped away and you all are just people getting to the goal. And nobody looks at you as, she needs that extra help, or she can't, you were them. They were your peers. You were all just, let's get there. Let's survive this. We can do this. Let's just cheer each other on. And there's something so profound about when you experience something like that. It does change your life, and it gives you an entirely different perspective, not just for yourself, but other people who haven't gone through that yet. Yeah. And that looks differently for all of us. Yours was, that's amazing. Someone needs to make a movie about your life, girl, or a book, I love that. There's just so many life lessons just in that story alone. Yeah. But so you came back, transformed, and I'm sure that gave you so much confidence. Like, what did that feel like when you got to when you were done and you had finished? Like, how did you feel? Were you able to be in that moment?
I was totally in that moment, but I was also thinking about the hamburger that I was going to eat for that.
I was going to say, I think that I would probably cry. Like, what did I just do? As I'm looking at the taco behind your shelf, I'm so sorry. I'm so distracted.
That's my favorite food, taco.
I love it. Me too, girl.
See,
that would be my inspiration too on my shelf.
I always tell my people when they comment on my Facebook, just tell me taco. Just give me a taco. Comment on everything. Just give me taco. And so taco is one of my favorite foods. But that day, when I was done to the last 50 steps, I was thinking about hamburger. I even told my tool leader that, hey, when he said, "Oh, do you want to do it again tomorrow?" I'm like, "Sure." After I eat my hamburger. So I ordered myself a hamburger. I delivered my first speech to a group of strangers. That was my first speech. I was really inspired because I wanted to share that message with the world. And that message is not the fact that I was able to do it. The message is that no matter where you are, no matter how insignificant you believe yourself right now, that's not the true reality. The true reality is you're so much bigger than you think. You're so much bigger than you think. So whatever that you're thinking that you're not significant, you're not good enough, put that aside because that is not the reality of who you are.
Yeah. Wow. That's beautiful. That is so beautiful. So that, it makes so much sense now that because you have such a genuine joy like that radiates from you. And you could have allowed, going back to that 11-year-old, you could have stayed in that, with good reason. Like anyone would look at your life and say, well, you have every right to just give up on doing any of those things, or feeling like that, you basically life screwed you over type thing, and it truly like that wasn't fair. But it's such a beautiful purpose though, that has come of it. Mm-hmm. And what you're able to do now and the steps that you took and the things that you went through, even in that pharmacy job, like, you experienced that type of reality that now you can relate to and you can talk to people who are in that, because a lot of people look at, coaches or success, entrepreneurs, and they just look at you and they're like, well, you don't know what I'm going through. You don't understand my world, but you do. Like you have been through so many different parts of your journey in life where you understand a lot and you can truly help people, because that's what people want. They want to feel like that you relate to them. They want to feel like they can relate to you. So, how did that look moving into, how did you figure out the steps to starting a coaching business? Like now you moved into, an entrepreneur. How did that look like? And what was the time frame that took to fruition?
It was like a new journey to climb, that whole new mountain to climb altogether.
Yeah, it truly is.
Right? Wow. Whole business mountain is like another whole new level that I had not anticipated, right? I didn't know that you need an audience. You need to have people who actually be your raving fan, right? Who's there to support you all the time.
I'm a raving fan. I'm too bad I wasn't there at the beginning. It's so funny. But yeah, no, you're like, you legit started from scratch.
I legit from scratch. And I remember I would have like 200 people on my following on Instagram, and all 200 on my Facebook were all my family and friends. Yeah. And I had no sales experience. So how do I even begin? So one of I think, earlier you talked about like how I have learned through this journey of how I relate to people, how I connect with them. And I really think that is a gift, especially in business and in marketing. Right? Yeah. A lot of what we do is, yes, you do have a product to sell, or you do have something that you want to offer if you're service-based. But essentially, it's about how do you describe what you're serving and what you're selling to the people who actually need it. And in order to describe what they actually needed, you need to have that emotional connection with them to be able to understand, to be in their shoes. What is it that they truly need? And how is my service going to support them and help them? If it is not, then they're not your customer. They're not your client, right? So move on to someone else who can really benefit from using your service and using your product. And so I learned that by starting my business from scratch. I didn't have followers, but I knew that my stories resonated. It's about courage. It's about connection. It's about being confident and knowing that even within our own fear, when you believe, when you have your mindset, you can do things. And that applied to our life and it applies to our business. So I started to tell stories. I started to share my inspirational moments. What was I struggling with? And people saw that. And I started to attract more and more people just by sharing stories of the lessons that I have learned. So that first year, I was able to secure my first client within that 90 days when I got my certification, which a lot of coaches struggle with within that 90 days because they don't know how to communicate and articulate. So I was able to do that within that 90 day after I got my coach certification. And then I would start putting out a lot of content on social media. I was creating a lot of marketing campaign. No one taught me how to, but the way that I did it was just simply sharing something that would be helpful to the person who's reading it. And that in itself is marketing. I didn't know that it was marketing, but I was doing it anyway because that's something that I enjoy doing. So I started my whole coaching business from scratch using just internet because I didn't have the time. I was working full-time still in the hospital. So it was juggling between full-time there and full-time here. So I had to focus on just doing the internet, just remotely, so I can serve more people without sacrificing the time because I had no time to do the networking in person. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. So now, like how many years has it been now that you've been doing this?
This is my 5th year doing this business. Wow. 3 years since doing marketing. First 2 years, I started out as a life and mindset coach.
That's amazing. And I'm sure you're loving this too, because, you know, that you're thriving in what this is, and, you know, and now you, of course, when you discover like, okay, this is what I was meant to do, you know, but it doesn't mean that, you know, all along other things weren't meant to be either. All of those things had to happen for you to get to where you are. So.
Exactly. Every lessons I have learned. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is beautiful, Michelle. Like, what an amazing story. And I'm so honored that, you know, that we could have this conversation today. And I feel it has been so life-giving. I know that it will be for other people as well. How can people get in touch with you and follow? What's the best way? Where are your favorite places to hang out?
My favorite place is Facebook Coach Michelle Kuei. So if they type in Coach Michelle Kuei, they're going to find my personal profile. So connect with me that way because I have a lot of fun things going on my Facebook profile.
Oh, I love it. Well, I'll make sure to link that too. And I just want to thank you again for taking this time out of your day and spending it with us. I'm excited to continue following your journey and watching, you know, the many more amazing things that, you know, you're going to do in your life, but also in the lives of others. So thank you again so much for this time.
Thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait. I'm going to Florida probably towards the end of the year, so I'll give you.
Yes, please do. That would be amazing. Like, I love that Florida gets to kind of bring you in. It won't be like Peru, I promise. Florida is totally the beach. Like, let's chill on, you know, and have a drink on the beach, are we?
I'm down.
I love it. Well, thank you again so much, Michelle. This has been so fun.
Thank you.
Well, friends, I just want to thank you for listening today. And if this show has meant something to you, please leave a review or rating on whatever platform you're listening to. Also, make sure you follow the show. This helps me continue bringing episodes like this where women can share their stories and link arms together. I hope you feel inspired and refreshed. Now get out there and hustle, girlfriends.